The Building Block School for the Arts Vintage Radio Today players will present Vintage Radio Today on the last Sunday of each month at 7 p.m. Central Time on the Building Block YouTube channel. Tonight's episode of Vintage Radio Today is Dragnet, The Big Want. Original air date was March 1st, 1953. Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to Bunko Fugitive Detail. You get a call from another city to pick up a burglary suspect. You know the name he's using. You know where he's living. Your job: get him. Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files, from beginning to end, from crime to punishment. Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, June 10th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch at a Bunko Fugitive Detail. My partner is Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Steed. My name's Friday. We were on our way out of the office, and it was 9:42 a.m. when we got to the corner of Selma and Fountain.
The Arizona Hotel.
Guess we check over there, huh?
Yeah, you got the mugs?
Right here.
I'm awfully sorry, Miss Hartfield. Yes, I know we say each room is air-conditioned. Yes, ma'am. But it is true. I know, ma'am. But the conditioning is on full now. All right, ma'am. Yes, I'll send some right up. Oh, I'll be with you right away. Get some water up to Miss Hartfield in 502. Right away. Now, sorry to keep you waiting.
That's all right, sir.
What is it you wanted?
Police officer, sir. Here's our identification.
There's nothing wrong, is there? I don't know what I'd do if anything else went wrong. The air conditioning unit went out early this morning. Making excuses. Don't know how much longer the ice water's going to hold out. What is it? What's wrong now?
Do you have a Mr. George Richmond registered here?
Probably gives his home address as Modesto.
Richmond, let's see here. Wait a minute.
Sir?
How do I know you are who you say you are? Police department's always sending out circulars saying, be careful about this sort of thing. This is a respectable hotel, you know. How do I know?
Here's our identification again, sir.
Oh, Friday. How about yours?
Here you are.
Uh-huh. All right. Can't be too careful. Your own office says that, you know. Careful. Anybody can come in here with a badge.
Yes, sir. If you check the register for us.
Yeah, sure thing. Yes, sir. Here he is. Richmond, George, Modesto, California.
He here now?
No. He checked out day before yesterday. Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Registration desk. Yes, Miss Hartfield. Yes, ma'am, I know that's what we advertise. Yes, ma'am. But it's on the way up. No, ma'am, I sent the boy myself. Yes, ma'am. I'm sure he'll be there. All right, Mrs. Hartfield. Yes, ma'am. I may quit. Now, what was it you wanted with Mr. Richmond?
You said that he moved out?
Yes, bag and baggage. Day before yesterday.
Did he leave any forwarding address?
No. I talked with him when he left. Didn't say a word about where he was going.
Was there anyone in the hotel he was especially friendly with? Anyone who might know where we can reach him?
No. Kind of kept to himself. Nice fella. Sure tipped good. Kept to himself, though.
Is there anyone around this place who might know where he was going? Bellboys? Maybe the waitress in the coffee shop?
No. I hardly think so. He didn't eat here. don't blame him.
Well, thank you very much, sir. Here's our card. If you hear anything from Mr. Richmond, we'd sure appreciate a call.
You bet. I'll give you a ring.
He get any mail here while he was staying?
No, nothing. Not even a phone call. Didn't use the room for anything but to sleep. Real quiet. Good tipper, though.
Did he drive a car, do you know?
No, not that I know of. But, say, come to think of it, you might check with Ernie.
Ernie?
Yeah, drives a cab. Usually right out in front. He picked up Mr. Richmond one night. He might be able to help you and tell you something.
All right. Thank you, sir. Anything comes up, appreciate a call.
Okay. I hope you get what you're looking for. Registration desk. Yes, Mrs. Hartfield. I know, ma'am, but the ice water is on the way up. I can't understand why it isn't there. But I am the manager, Mrs. Hartfield. Yes, ma'am. I know.
That fellow there might be him.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Yeah,
Your name Ernie?
that's right. What can I do for you?
Police officers. Like some information.
Well, I got a permit to park here.
It's not that. I'd like to know if you remember picking up a Mr. George Richmond here.
Oh, Richmond, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Richmond. Doesn't make any bells ring. What's the guy look like?
You got those mugs?
Yeah, here you go.
You a cop too?
Yes, sir, I'm an officer.
Yeah, you kind of look like one. This the guy?
Yes, sir, that's him. You remember picking him up?
Yeah. Seemed that I've seen him before. Yeah, good tipper. Yeah, I picked him up. Let's see, a couple of days ago, drove him downtown. Sure, downtown.
You remember where you took him?
Gee, that was a couple of days ago, like I said.
Yes, sir.
No, I haven't got the slightest idea.
We'll be right back after these words from our sponsor. Come visit the Building Block School for the Arts on the Big Payback Day, May 2nd, from 11 to 3 at the Murray County Rally adjacent to Fire Station Number 1, 1000 South Garden Street. Many other nonprofit organizations will be there too, as well as several food trucks. You can also make donations online at www.buildingblockarts.com. We hope to see you there. The Building Block School for the Arts and Cities Restaurant is hosting the Singers Empowerment Spectacular Showcase. This event will be the end result of each singer participating in a vocal coach group session with Damian Boggs and Serena Joy Crow, and a masterclass with professional coach Carolyn Binkley. The showcase will be May 11th at 7 p.m. at Cities Restaurant on 6th Street off the Square in Columbia. For more information, go to www.buildingblockarts.com or call the hotline at 931-442-5007. The Building Block School for the Arts, building character on a strong foundation. And now, back to our show.
10:07 a.m. We continued to talk to the cab driver. He was sure he'd picked up the suspect on Sunday night, but he was unable to tell us where he'd taken George Richmond. We drove back downtown and checked with the cab company. On the driver's way bill, we found that he'd made 3 pickups that night from the hotel on Fountain. The first stop listed was a large hotel in downtown Los Angeles. We checked with the desk clerk and the bell captain. They were unable to identify the mugshots of Richmond. The second stop was a large apartment out on Wilshire Boulevard. We checked the manager of the place, and she told us she didn't recognize the name. We showed her the mugshots of Richmond, and she said she thought she'd seen the man. She told us that 2 weeks before, she'd seen the man in the halls of the apartment. When she asked him what he wanted, he said he was looking for a Miss Norman. Because of the way he'd acted, the landlady hadn't told him that there was a tenant by that name living in the place. She gave us the apartment number of the Norman woman, and Frank and I went up to see her. You want to try it again?
Yeah.
Who is it?
Police officers.
What?
Police officers, we'd like to talk to you.
Just a minute. Now, what's this all about?
Miss Margaret Norman?
Yeah, that's right. What do you want with me?
Could we come in, please? Better than talking out here in the hall.
Yeah, I guess so. Come on in.
My name's Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
Pleased to meet you.
Yeah, hi.
Are you alone here, Miss Norman?
Yeah, I just got up. You'll have to excuse the way the place looks. Kind of messy.
It's all right, ma'am.
You mind if I put on some coffee? I'm not going to be able to answer any questions before I have a cup of coffee.
Go right ahead, ma'am.
What is it you wanted to see me about?
You know a man named Richmond?
Richmond?
Yes, ma'am. George Richmond.
Why do you ask that? What's he done?
Just like to know if you know him, ma'am. Do you?
Yeah, I know him. What do you guys want him for?
Like to talk to him, Miss Norman.
Uh-huh. Don't want to tell me what it's about, huh?
Be better if we talk to him.
Yeah. Either one of you got a cigarette?
Yes, ma'am. Here you go.
Match?
Thanks. Thanks. You know, there's no love lost between me and George.
That right?
You bet there isn't. Lousy bum. Regular drugstore cowboy. Takes a girl out for dinner one lousy night and a cheap dinner. And figures he owns her. You know where he is now?
Nah, I haven't got the slightest idea.
Well, if I did know, I'd sure tell you. You bet I would. Like to see him get his, way he treated me.
You know any of his friends? Anyone who might know where he is?
I don't think he's got a friend. At least I never met any of them.
You drive a car, do you know?
No, not him. Always took a cab. Used to kill me. Anywhere we went, he'd take a cab. One lousy block and he took a cab. Liked to be a sport. Always tipping big. Regular drugstore cowboy.
Yes, ma'am. When did you see him last?
Must have been a couple weeks ago. That much anyway. Last time I saw him, don't care if I never see him again. Way he acted. I thought he was gonna kill me.
Ma'am?
We went out to dinner, and when we got back here, he'd been drinking a lot. Got real nasty. I told him he'd better be going. You know, it was late and all.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, like I said, it was late, and he got real nasty. Started yelling at me. Called me all sorts of things. Now, I'm not going to let any man say things like that to me. So I told him to get out. That I didn't ever want to see him again. One lousy dinner, and he thought he owned me.
Go ahead, Miss Knoxam.
He hauled off and hit me. Right there in the hall. Hit me as hard as he could. Almost broke my jaw. Well, you know I let out a scream, and he beat it. Caused such a commotion, I had to move.
Then this didn't happen here.
No, place over on Vermont. I moved the next day.
Uh-huh. Where'd you meet Richmond?
At the club. Say, you got another cigarette?
Yeah, here you are.
Thanks.
What club's that, ma'am?
Where I work. Green Lantern, downtown. I'm the cigarette girl. Met him there. Came in one night, acted real big. Asked me if I'd have dinner with him. As it happened, I didn't have an engagement that night, so I said yes. Well, we kinda went together for a while.
Uh-huh.
Sure hope you get him. Real bad guy. Way he treats women. Terrible. Say, wait a minute.
Yes, ma'am?
I know someone who might be able to tell you where he is.
Who's that?
Fella named Hank. Used to hang around the club. I saw George talk to him at the bar once in a while.
You know where we can find this Hank?
No, but I can tell you where his girlfriend lives. That help?
Yes, ma'am.
Place over on 3rd, out near Fairfax.
What's his full name, ma'am?
Gee, I gotta think about that. Let's see, Jeanette, that's the girl. Jeanette introduced him as Palmer. That's it, Hank Palmer. I don't know about him, though.
What's that, Miss Norman?
He's a really mean one. Kinda quiet. Not like George. George likes to shoot his mouth off, but Hank is quiet. He's trouble, though.
Ma'am?
One night we went up to Jeanette's for a couple of drinks. Hank took off his coat. That's why I say he's rough.
Yeah?
Sure. Carries a gun.
We'll be right back after these words from our sponsor. There are so many things planned at the Building Block School for the Arts this summer. First comes Odd Squad Summer Theater Camp for ages 6 to 12 years, June 4th through the 8th. It'll be a fun detective discovery of learning in theater and saving the day. Then there's Summer Camp Aladdin, ages 6 to 12 years and above, from June 4th to July 27th. Learn all the aspects of theater and put on a show, Aladdin, at the end of the camp. And Improv Camp from June 18th to June 22nd, ages 10 to 15. Check out all the other camps and workshops at our website at www.buildingblockarts.com. For many other activities, call the hotline at 931-442-5007 for more info. The Building Block School for the Arts is located at 700 Woodland Street, 1 block north of the square. And now, back to our show.
1:45 p.m. We got the description of Hank Palmer, and then Frank and I drove back to City Hall. We ran the name and description through R&I, but got no make. We sent the name of George Beerton, CIA in Sacramento, and got a communication off to Washington asking them for information on Palmer. We also checked the name of Palmer's girlfriend through our records, but got no information. We contacted Captain Steed and arranged for a stakeout to be placed on the apartment of Palmer's girlfriend, Jeanette Allen. 2 days went by. Palmer and Richmond failed to make an appearance. We talked to Jeanette Allen, but she couldn't supply us any information as to where the two men might be. Descriptions of the two men were broadcast. Informants were questioned. We contacted the Modesto Police Department, and they sent all the information on to places Richmond was known to frequent while he was in Los Angeles. The kickback from Sacramento and Washington gave us no new information on Richmond, but Washington had him listed as having 2 arrests for armed robbery and ADW in the East. Another week passed. The stakeouts on Jeanette Allen's apartments continued. No sign of either of the men. Sergeant Al Pinogis of the Bunko Detective Fugitive Detail worked with us to try to trace the movements of the two men. On Saturday, June 15th, we got word from an informant that Richmond and Palmer had been seen in town. We checked with the stakeout at the apartment, but they had seen nothing of the two men. Frank, Al Pinogis, and I drove out to relieve the stakeout.
Bog, it's hot. Air's just laying there.
Yeah, papers say this is the hottest June 15th on record.
Miss Allen?
Yes, Sergeant.
You haven't heard from Palmer at all since he got back?
No, not a word. I don't really believe he's in town. If he was, I'm sure he'd look me up. Never done this before.
Uh-huh.
Be all right if I got a glass of water, miss?
Sure. Help yourself. Right out in the kitchen.
Thanks. How about you, Joe? You want some?
No thanks.
Al?
Yeah. Joe?
Yeah?
Cab stopping out in front. Man getting out. Might be one of them. Guy's wearing an overcoat.
On a day like this?
Coming in here?
Yeah, cab's pulling away.
Okay. You want to take that side of the door, Frank?
Right.
You better get into the bedroom, Miss Allen.
You think there's gonna be some trouble?
Depends on the way he wants it, ma'am.
Oh. Well, I guess you know best. I hope not. All I need is to have to move again.
All set?
Right.
Who are you?
You Hank Palmer?
Yeah, so what?
Police officers, you're under arrest.
Lousy cop.
Watch it, Joe. He's got a gun.
Ugh.
I'll get him. Hold up, Palmer. Stop, or I'll fire.
Get away from me, copper.
Get away from that car, Palmer. Get a call in, Frank. Gray Mercury, license number 1369105.
Better call an ambulance, too.
Huh?
Pinocchio's. He's hurt bad.
We'll be right back after these words from our sponsor. The Building Block School for the Arts is also holding auditions for A Night at the Opry on Sunday, May 6th from 3 to 7 p.m. A Night at the Opry, a tribute to the classic country stars of the Grand Ole Opry, has its next show on June 8th and 9th. Come on down and audition to be part of this incredible tribute to the stars of the Opry. Bring your instrumentals from up to 3 different classic Opry artists and audition for our group. The Building Block School for the Arts hotline is 931-442-5007 or go to www.buildingbblockarts.com for more info. The Building Block School for the Arts, building character on a strong foundation. And now, back to our show.
June 15th, 8:40 p.m. Sergeant Al Pinogis was removed to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. His condition was listed as critical. The bullet had entered his chest and was still embedded below his left lung. His family was notified, and after Frank and I got the APB on Palmer, we drove by to pick up Mrs. Pinogis. We dropped her off at the hospital, and Frank stayed with her. Palmer's description was put out, as was the description of the car held commandeered to get away. I ran the number through our DMV and found it was registered to a Mr. William Evans, 1627 East Poinsettia, Hollywood. Along with Sergeant Allred, I checked out the address. Mrs. Evans told us that she hadn't seen her husband for several hours, that when he left the house, he told her he was going to a lodge meeting. We got a description of him out and got a local and an APB on him. I called the hospital and found out they'd operated on Pinogis, but were unable to remove the bullet. His wife had collapsed, and Frank had taken her home, where she was cared for by their family doctor. 12:46 a.m. A radio car out in Chatsworth picked up Evans. He told him that Palmer had forced him at gunpoint to drive him to the valley. There, he forced Evans from the car and driven off. Evans couldn't give the officers any idea where the suspect might have been going. 2 hours later, the car was found abandoned on South Spring. The car was placed under surveillance, and a dragnet of the downtown area was started. Metro Division assigned 20 teams of men to make a block-by-block search of the vicinity. The details at the bus station and at the airports were alerted. 4:12 a.m., I got a call from Frank, and I drove over to the Georgia Receiving Hospital. How's it going?
Not good. I just saw the doctor.
How's Al?
He just died.
When an officer is first accepted by the police force, he spends 13 weeks at the police academy. In that period of time, he learns the basic fundamentals of being a peace officer. On graduation from the police academy, he is assigned to either traffic or to a tour of duty in one of the city jails. Then, depending on his aptitude and the way he conducts himself in the field, he is watched for possible transfer to one of the detective divisions as an investigator. By the time a police officer gets an assignment to the Detective Bureau, he has become a professional troubleshooter. He knows how to handle himself, and he knows how to handle the lawbreaker. He is on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and he always wears a gun. When a hoodlum shoots an officer, he is showing society he has no regard for the law, and at the same time he is announcing that he will not hesitate to kill an unarmed citizen. Sergeant Alfred Pinogis had been a policeman for 14 years. He first began in traffic, then transferred to the juvenile division. From there, he went to homicide detail and then to Bunko fugitive division. He was a professional peace officer and had been murdered. He gave his life to protect the people around him, the same people who at times condemned him and the other officers in the department. His killer was still at large, and we had to find him before he ran into some private citizen who got in his way. The search of the downtown area was intensified, but netted us nothing. Frank and I checked the immediate area around the abandoned car. In talking to the people in the vicinity, we found a newsboy who had seen Palmer park the car. He said he was unable to tell us where the man had gone, but said that he thought he might have gone into a bar near the corner. We checked the place, but the bartender was unable to give us any information. 2 days passed. We rechecked the known hangouts of the two men. Neither of them had been seen. Tuesday, June 18th, we got word that Palmer had been seen entering an apartment house on South Alvarado. 10:14 a.m., Frank and I drove over to talk to the landlady.
Palmer and Richmond. No, I don't think I know them.
Wonder if you'd look at these pictures, Mrs. Holbrook. See if you recognize them.
Sure. Well, he's a mean one. Haven't seen him, though. This one.
Ma'am?
This one. I know him. Which one is he?
That's Richmond.
No, that's not his name. Told me it was Rickman. Said it was John Rickman. Lives up in 206. That's in front.
He in now, ma'am?
No, he went out early this morning. First time in a couple of days. Went out early.
You expect him back soon?
Don't know right off. Might be. I don't generally know when they're coming back. Don't keep tabs on them, you know?
Them?
Yeah, tenants. Nice bunch. Most of them. Quiet. Had a place full the last 2 years.
How long has this Rickman?
Yeah, that's right. John Rickman.
How long has he been here?
Oh, he's kind of new. Took over the room from a friend of his. Asked me about it. I told him that as long as the rent was paid on time, and there wasn't any loud parties, well, I didn't care who lived there.
Yes, ma'am. Does he have any friends in the building? Anyone he sees quite a bit?
Well, now. Well, there's the girl in 306. He sees quite a bit of her.
Who's that, Mrs. Holbrook?
That'd be Barbara McIntyre. Nice girl. Dancer. Works downtown at one of the clubs.
Is she in now, do you know?
Should be, yeah. Hardly ever gets up before noon. Hardly ever. Well, works late, you know.
Yes, ma'am. Does Richmond drive a car?
Richmond? Well, I don't know now. I don't think so. Seems like he's always coming home in a cab. Comes in at all hours. I don't think he's going to last here.
Why do you say that, ma'am?
'Cause I don't think he will, that's all. Plays the radio late. Makes noise, you know. Then there was the fight. The girl didn't want to do anything about it. But I certainly think she should have.
What's that about, ma'am?
One night, let's see, must have been a week ago. Rickman or Richmond or whatever his name is, he came home and he'd been drinking quite a bit, you know.
Uh-huh.
Well, he went up to the girl's apartment and they had an awful brawl, screaming and yelling, awful brawl. Well, I went up and asked her if there was something I could do, and she yelled through the door and said, no, well, that everything was all right. Of course it wasn't.
Ma'am?
Well, the next day the poor thing had a black eye that just wouldn't stop. All bruised up. Had a bandage right there on her forehead. Must have hit her awful hard. I don't think he's going to last here.
Uh-huh. You're pretty sure that you haven't seen this other man, though, are you?
Well, let me see that picture again. No, I'm positive. Never saw him. Of course, that doesn't mean he wasn't here.
Ma'am?
Well, like I said, I don't pay much attention to them. They pay their rent. I don't bother them. They come and go as they please. Say what you want for... Well, is that about Mr. Richmond?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about him beating up that poor girl.
No, ma'am.
Oh, well, I should have known about him. No, sir. He ain't going to last long around here.
Wonder if we could see his room, Mrs. Holbrook.
Well, I guess it's all right. I'll get the key.
All right, ma'am.
Here you are. Right up the stairs and then to the front of the hall. It's right after the far end of the hall.
Rather you come with us, ma'am.
Oh, well, all right. Glad to help. The way he must have beat that girl. Fian, that's what he is. Well, he sure isn't going to last around here.
No, ma'am. He sure isn't. Before we looked into Richmond's apartment, we checked with his girlfriend. We found she wasn't in. The manager led us into her apartment, but we found no indication where she might have gone. We went downstairs and searched Richmond's place. He wasn't there. The landlady stood by while we searched the place. In the closet, we found a small arsenal, a gas grenade, a sawed-off shotgun, and 2 boxes of ammunition for it. There were also several revolvers and over 150 rounds of ammunition for them. We called the office and arranged for a stakeout of the building. Sergeants Maury Allred, Al Gerard, Danny Gilmore, Byron Miller, and Al Winters came out. Gerard and Gilmore covered the front entrance. Allred and Miller were stationed at the back of the building, and Frank and I covered Richmond's room. The residents of the apartment were warned to stay inside their apartments and to keep their doors locked. 10:30 p.m. There was still no sign of the suspects. We waited. 11. 11:15. Midnight.
Joe?
Yeah.
Looks like it might be them. Cab pulling up in front.
How about Gerard and Gilmore?
No, can't see them from here. Yeah, looks like Palmer and Richmond. They got the girl with them.
Where is she?
She's walking between them. Makes it tough.
Yeah, they won't try to take him on the street.
Coming in the building.
Let's go.
Should be here pretty quick.
Yeah, figures if they're coming here.
Upstairs, the girl's apartment.
Yeah, I wonder if they went in with her.
Just have to wait.
Hold it.
I don't feel right here, I tell you. It's too quiet. Something's up.
All right, mister. Hold it right there.
Cops, George. Beat it.
Let's go.
Give it up, Palmer.
They made the street. Gilmore and Gerard should get him. That car. Let's go.
Looks like they're in that store.
You want to cover me while I try to get over there?
Okay, take it easy.
Right. Go ahead.
Okay, Frank, I'm coming over. You see Gilmore and Gerard?
Yeah, they're behind that Buick over there.
Coming out of there, Richmond. Palmer, come on, throw your guns out.
You come in and take us, copper.
Give it up, Richmond. You're at a dead end. There's no way out.
Then we'll make one.
They're coming out, Joe.
Okay. I quit. You got Richmond. I quit. Don't shoot anymore. Please don't shoot anymore. You won't shoot anymore, please?
Throw your guns over here.
All right. Here it is. I'm throwing it out.
I'll check Richmond.
Right.
I haven't got any gun. I gave it to you. I'm hurt. Can't you see that? I'm hurt bad.
I told Gilmore to call the ambulance. Richmond's dead.
He's hit. I don't know how bad.
I should have known not to kill a cop. Never would have been like this if I hadn't killed that cop. I didn't mean to. I got scared. That's all. You can understand that, can't you?
Yeah, sure. You want to shake him, Frank?
Yeah.
Watch it, Frank. He's got another gun. Palmer.
I'll check him.
How about it?
He's dead.
Yeah.
Look here, Joe.
Huh?
He had these in his pockets.
Must be 50 to 60 rounds of ammunition here.
Yeah, doesn't look like he wanted to quit.
He didn't have much choice.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent. On July 26th, an inquest was held at the coroner's office in and for the County of Los Angeles. At the coroner's inquest, it was found that the deaths of George Thomas Richmond and Henry Donald Palmer were justifiable homicide. It was found that they were armed and were killed while resisting arrest.
Tonight's story, The Big Want from Dragnet. Featured in the cast were Jay Powell, Kristen Jaynes, Sherry Johnson, Jim Hobgood, Michael Knox, Wesley Marshall, Sherrell Knox, Lee Moore, and I'm your announcer, Dan Jaynes. Thank you for listening to Vintage Radio Today Players. We wish to thank Ross Jaynes for his technical assistance, as well as me for the use of my studio. The Building Block School for the Arts hotline is 931-442-5007, or contact them at buildingblockarts@gmail.com. They're located at 700 Woodland Street in Columbia. Thanks for listening. Tune in again next month for another live Vintage Radio Today.